Welcome to the Scalpel of Truth, the podcast providing cutting insight on how to rise to the top in the medical aesthetics industry with your host, Lisa Krause, aka the Bitch and Beautician. That's Lisa with an E, which stands for explicit, because in this surgical suite, she won't sugarcoat the truth, and yes, there will be some seriously salty language, not suitable for sensitive souls, children, nor pets. As a business consultant, Lisa shares the knowledge and lessons she's gleaned over 30 years in the industry. Time spent working directly with patients, managers, and med spa owners alike. Her practice growth strategies are sharp, her stories and wit sharper, and her panache for bringing the spice the sharpest. So buckle up, bichachos. Lisa's about to slice and dice another episode of The Scalpel of Truth.
Welcome back, you gorgeous trailblazing bachachos. This is the Scalpel of Truth podcast, where I cut the shit and get straight to what really matters in running a successful med spa. I'm your host, Lise, aka the Bitch and Beautician, and today we're talking about something that cannot be ignored if you want to truly build a profitable, kick-ass med spa, and that is data-driven decisions. Now, I did an episode previously. We did talk about knowing your numbers and how numbers don't lie. So this episode is basically that episode's cousin. Okay? Again, numbers aren't really sexy, but let me tell you, there's nothing sexier than seeing those profit margins soar because you know exactly where your revenue's coming from and what's bleeding money and how to fix it. So we're going to get into all of that. KPIs, profit loss statements, industry benchmarks, and the real power of knowing your production. So when you know your numbers, you can make decisions that are backed by data and not just some gut feeling or worse, looking at what your competition's doing. So grab your coffee, your wine, or whatever the hell you need to focus, because at the end of this episode, you're going to understand why data is your best friend. Here's the legal part I need to read. This podcast is presented solely for educational entertainment purposes. Guys, I'm just your beauty business bitch. I'm not a licensed therapist or an HR representative, nor am I a lawyer. This platform's used to share my experiences with what's made me a successful service provider, a manager, and a business consultant for those who I coach. Got it? Beautiful. All right, let's get real. You might think this is boring data. Oh God, Lise, I'm more creative. I don't like looking at spreadsheets. Well, listen up. Data is power, my friends. So when you understand your numbers, you have a clear roadmap to what's working, what's not, where you need to take your business. That creative magic that you've got, it'll go a hell of a lot further when you pair it with hard data. Okay, so let's start off with your profit and loss. We've talked about this before. If you don't know how to read this, you got no business running a med spa, okay? That P&L is going to show you everything from how much revenue you're generating to where your expenses are bleeding you dry and where you're spending too much on products. Is your rent out of control? Your P&L is going to tell you that, okay? So if you're not reviewing your P&L monthly, you're flying blind, bachacho. You need to get in the car, stick a blindfold on, and drive around. Would you do that? Fuck no. So why the hell are you doing that running your business? You got to check your financials, okay? Don't leave it to your accountant so you can get a report at the end of the year. You got to stay on top of it. You got to have a finger on the pulse. You got to see what's coming in daily, weekly, monthly. We're measuring this because guess what? That's going to help you scale your business. That's going to help you find landmines that you maybe have not uncovered yet. So let's go over your KPIs. The metrics that you cannot ignore. Key performance indicators, that's what that stands for those of us who are new. This is your business vital signs, basically. It's the metrics that are going to give you the real insight into what's going on underneath the surface. It's like your med spa's blood pressure and heart rate, if we're talking medical terms. Some of the big ones you need to be tracking for KPIs. Revenue per service. How much are you making per treatment or per service? If Botox or toxin is your cash cow, but facials are barely covering costs, it's time to shift the focus. So we got to see what our revenue per service is. Then we've got patient retention rates. Are the people that are coming to see you, are your patients coming back? Or are they treating your med spa like a skanky one-night stand? Can't have that. I mean, not that those aren't great from time to time, but We're not trash talking here, okay? If your retention rate is low, you got a problem, babes. We got to figure this out. Then average patient spend, okay? Patients, are they booking multiple services? Are they cheaping out? This number is also going to tell you if your team's promoting everything that you have to offer, or if they're just setting shit up on autopilot, simply being a laser monkey or a prick technician. Okay, so let's have some fun. I want to introduce you to those two definitions, okay? So a laser monkey is someone who mechanically focuses on doing laser treatments, but they're not engaging in upgrading patient services, advising on product, selling memberships, bundles, okay? Bringing in another value to your med spa and offering that to your patients, all right? So that's a laser monkey. And then you got a prick technician, which is the injector equivalent of a laser monkey. Okay, so you don't want to go monking it out and you don't want to go pricking it up. All right. So this is perfect. It leads us right into talking about employee productivity. Okay. So are your injectors, laser techs, medical SDs, front end directors, are they all pulling their weight? Or are some just clocking in but not contributing to the bottom line? AKA our dreaded paycheck collectors that need to be invited to work elsewhere. So when you track your KPIs, you're not just guessing at where your revenue's coming from. You actually know where it's coming from. And that's going to give you the confidence to make some major moves. You're going to either double down on what's working, or you're going to machete factor the dead weight. Okay, so when to hire and fire. So we're getting into some tough shit here. You know I love talking about hiring and firing. So first of all, you need to stop hiring people based on a feeling or because you like someone, okay? Your numbers are going to tell you when you need to hire somebody or you need more staff, not your gut. Although I always want you to be hiring good talent. If you've got somebody who's turned into a paycheck collector, they got to go. So you always make room for someone who's top talent and somebody who has a clientele that might follow them. We never want to solicit though. Soliciting is poor form. It's an absolute no-no and can have legal repercussions. Okay. So let's look at your production numbers. If your current staff is like maxed out and they're booking weeks in advance, then it's time to hire somebody. So that's going to be injector, esthetician, whatever, to meet the demand. But if you're looking at your numbers in your schedule and we got holes in the schedule that are resembling Swiss cheese, you don't need more staff, okay? You need to fill those holes that you have with people you already have. So, and then you got to take care of those who aren't pulling their weight, all right? So I know it isn't easy, but when these things like numbers are off, it's much easier to let a staff member go that isn't hitting targets for months on end. And if it's not months on end, we're talking like a couple, right? Then it's easy. You can blame the numbers, right? Essentially, when you blame the numbers, you're blaming them for not producing. So firing someone isn't really having to feel so personal anymore. It's basically you're looking at the data. If the employee's productivity is consistently low and their services aren't generating revenue, or worse, if their patient retention is sad as fuck and the numbers don't lie, you look at that and it's like, it's time to go. You got to let them go, send them packing. And really it comes down to the numbers. Then it's not emotional. You can love that person to bits, but if they're not performing, unfortunately, they don't get to stay. That's how a business works. You're not in a nonprofit, okay? You're not just handing out paychecks because you like people. Right? If you're like me, you don't like a lot of people. Okay. So honestly, they're going to thank you for it in the long run because nobody wants to be somewhere they're not thriving. They're going to be a little sauerkraut at the beginning. Okay. But eventually you're going to have to go with production. And again, this is perfect because numbers don't lie. All right, let's look at when to bring on new services or capital equipment. Okay, this is a big one. How are you going to know when to bring in or drop 50 to 200K on a piece of equipment? It's your data, baby. Let's say you're thinking about bringing in a new laser, but you haven't really looked at your current treatment revenue. So are your services even performing to capacity? If not, why are you thinking of adding that new equipment? Maybe you don't need it. Maybe you do need it because we aren't offering enough. You know, if there's gaps, but you got to look at the data. Can we afford it, right? Is there people asking for those services? When you look at the production numbers and you see consistent demand for something new, like maybe body contouring or laser hair removal, whatever it is, and you got like a wait list out the door, maybe you're waiting for a vascular device and you don't have anything that can treat people, right? It's the data that's going to tell you when it's time to invest. So don't go buying the latest shiny piece of equipment just because your laser rep's telling you it's going to be a game changer. We got to look at it, and bless their hearts. You know, they're out, they got to eat too, these laser reps and equipment reps, right? So let's take a look at it. And some of the best laser reps are going to look at your business and they're going to ask you these questions and see if you need capital equipment. The greasy ones are going to tell you, you need it all and you need it today. And for the low price of $8 million, I'm going to get you into 6 different lasers that you're going to die before you pay off. Okay. So anyways, I give them a bad rep, but there's a lot of great ones out there. So let's look at your patient demand and your current services and see if they're performing before you dictate when it's time to expand. All right. Okay, let's talk marketing. So you've launched your big new marketing campaign and it's super cute, great photos, lots of engagement on the gram. Maybe you've even gotten some influencers involved. But when you look at your return on investment, your ROI, and you're saying like, wait a sec, we spent all this money on ads and we're not even breaking even. Now, to preface this, the beginning, okay, ads, you're going to have to spend some money to make some money and it's going to take a little bit of time. But this is where your data is going to tell you whether to double down or to pivot. Okay.
Pivot.
So, oh my gosh, throwback to Friends, like Ross Geller. Amazing. Pivot. Anyways, okay. I've gone rogue.
Okay, I don't think it's going to pivot anymore. You think?
Again, we're looking at marketing. It's not about just looking pretty. It's about generating cold hard cash. So if your current campaign is flopping, we can't keep pumping money into it, okay? The numbers are going to show you when it's time to change the messaging, shift the platforms, and target a different audience. Also, if you're with a marketing company that's any good, they're also going to tell you when you need to change the message, shift the platforms, and target a different audience, okay? So, but if you're marketing, look at that. If it's bringing you in patients right, left, and center, the data is going to scream, double down. Throw some more fuel on that fire, right? Data isn't just about avoiding mistakes. It's about recognizing where the wins are so that sometimes you can go all in. Okay, now we're talking industry benchmarks. These are really important. Benchmarks give you a point of reference, so you can see where you're crushing it and where you're falling short. Maybe your Botox revenue is solid, but your retail sales are lagging behind for industry average, okay? Lots of clinics I work with, I do a retail rockstar workshop. Seriously, your industry standards for your revenue generation for product. It's a key pillar to your practice. We are going to know the industry standards. It's going to help you spot the holes, patch them before your whole ship sinks. I'd be happy to work with you on this. I would love to share some of those industry benchmarks, get you where you need to be. That would probably be one of my most requested session topics when we do one-on-one consulting with clients. The final word we're saying here, data doesn't lie. Your feelings might though. So let's look at that. The data doesn't lie. So at the end of the day, you need to realize something is going well and you feel like it's a certain service that's popular or you're really liking a service. The numbers don't back it up. It's time for that reality check. Okay. The beauty of data is that it takes an emotion out of that decision making. It takes that emotional pull out of it. It gives you clear answers on what you should be and shouldn't be working on. So beauties, here's the takeaway. If you're not making decisions based on data, you're just guessing. You're going with the flow. You're trusting that gut. It's good to trust your gut, but not when it comes to numbers. And in this industry where your competition is fierce, the trends are changing faster than we can say radio frequency microneedling. Actually, that's a little bit long. Maybe we should shorten that. RF microneedling. Okay. Guessing is not going to fucking cut the mustard, folks. It's time to embrace those P&Ls, dig into those KPIs. Let's let the numbers guide your strategies. And I will guide your strategies. I'm a profit strategist. Hit me up. Let's do a discovery call. If you're not already obsessed with your numbers, you better think quick. Your business and your bank account are going to thank you. My beloved bachachos. Okay, I've got some crazy exciting news to share. I want you to be introduced to the brand new VIP Badass Bachachos Club. This is an exclusive episode after party where the tea really gets spilled. That's right. The after party is the after the show. If you are a subscribing VIP member, you're going to get pearls, insider secrets, some juicy shit to take your MedSpa to the next level. So I'm inviting you to stop being a spectator and start playing like a VIP. So head on over to scalpeloftruth.com to sign up to be a subscribing member, Badass VIP. You know you want the perks, the extras, the tips, that badass content that I share only with my VIP crew. So join the club, get the goods, let's get the after party started, because why settle for average when you could be a total badass VIP, okay? So in closing, I'm saying this, always stay sharp, stay focused and fabulous, and remember, data is the real power move here.
Don't away, just see things stay the way they are.
Oh, you know what? What did you mean when you said pivot?